Hi, yeah, it's Jackie here from the LGFA. It's time for another interview, and we're going to have a little trip, a more recent trip down memory lane. And my two guests today are Annie Walsh from Cork, up in the top left-hand corner, and down the bottom of the screen, hi, Lyndsey Davey, current Dublin star, of course, and has been playing for Dublin since 2004, if I'm not mistaken. Lyndsey, you were 14 years of age when you burst onto the scene. Annie, when was your debut for Cork? I know you bowed out a couple of years ago.
Yeah, it was 2008. I suppose I would have joined the panel and kind of was there until around 2017 was my last year now. So yeah, good few years there myself now. Not as impressive as Lindsay there, but we had a good run with the club up to that stage, I suppose, kind of working our way up through the ranks from junior to intermediate to senior. And that's probably, I suppose, when I got my opportunity to go in with the Cork team. Obviously, we had won, I think, 3 in a row at that stage. So, you know, it was a really good setup to get into. And obviously, was fortunate enough that some of the girls that were in there already, the likes of Angela Walsh, Mary O'Connor, Marie Walsh, you know, they were in my club as well. So, you know, it made, I suppose, the transition in there very easy then as well. So.
Absolutely, and you finished up with 8 All-Ireland medals as well, which wasn't a bad innings.
Well, not a bad haul, I suppose. When you look back, I suppose you do, when you look at something like that, you do kind of look at the missing ones and you kind of go, what happened there, you know? But I suppose sometimes, you know, they do stick out a little bit more than the others. Obviously, you know, very fortunate to be part of such an amazing team over the years, you know, such amazing people. And, you know, I know that most of my teammates would have said the same, you know, but it's just fantastic. And I suppose it's probably only now, you know, when you get asked about it and you kind of look back and you kind of realise, you know, what you're actually a part of and how special it actually was, and even how much, I suppose, you learned or you developed as a person. And I suppose even in my professional career, how I've been able to, you know, pull a lot of the things I've learned from the football field across to that. Like, so, you know, definitely there's a serious correlation in that regard. But no, just an amazing experience. And when you think back of it, just amazing memories. So.
Good to have you on, Annie, and we'll do our little wander down memory lane very shortly. I'm going to bring in Lyndsey Davey, who's these are good times for Dublin, Lyndsey. It's fair enough to say. Annie mentions the success that Cork have had down through the years, and we'll touch on some meetings that Dublin and Cork would have had along that journey. But Dublin for the last 3 years, it's been really good times, Lyndsey. And you have 4 All Ireland medals now in your collection, which is a nice little haul as well.
Yeah, look, I suppose like Annie was saying, just when you look back over the years, just the memories and all that you make with your teammates and kind of stand out the most. But we're very fortunate to kind of be in a position now that we've kind of come strong in the past couple of years to be, like, especially off the back of losing the 3 All-Ireland, to win the 3 then, I think made that extra special. Because I think walking off the field that day after 2016, I don't think, we didn't know what the future would hold for Dublin, but I certainly don't think anyone thought that we'd bounce back to achieve the 3 in a row. But very fortunate to be in that position. And it's just all down to the hard work that Mick has put in with the team, and he's just a fantastic manager, and I think what he's done has just been brilliant. But it's just the atmosphere within the camp as well. It's just so enjoyable to be a part of it, and you're kind of very lucky to have such close bonds with your teammates. So like, as Annie said, like, they're the kind of things that you treasure the most, is the friendships that you make.
Yeah, absolutely. We had a good chat about Mick and the influence he's had on that squad for a podcast not so long ago now, Lyndsey. So it just seems that the last few months have been a bit of a drag with lockdown and everything that goes with that. But there is some light at the end of the tunnel, Lyndsey, in terms of a return to play, first with club and then with county. So that must have come as a huge boost.
Yeah, I think all the girls are absolutely delighted. And you know, even Niamh Mako was talking the other day in the Sunday game, just saying she's dying to get back playing. And I think a lot of people are in the same boat. And I suppose just because everything was so up in the air for so long, and there was talk of the season just being pulled completely, and I don't think anyone of us would have wanted that. But I suppose if it was the right thing to do, then obviously we would have had to just go along with it. But I think we're all relieved now to kind of have, like I said, some light at the end of the tunnel, and we'll get back at club shortly, and then hopefully down the line we'll be back at the county, which would just be great to see some sort of a season take part.
Yeah, we're all looking forward to that very much, Lyndsey. Before we crack on to some memories, Annie, you mentioned professional life. You work with AIB. So how have things been during lockdown, and how has life changed in this virtual world that we're living in right now?
Yeah, so big change, I suppose. I'm working from home, so I'm working remotely since I would say the middle of March now at this stage, which is a long time now. And you're in a busy season like we are. But I suppose, obviously you're trying to adapt, and like everyone else, trying to find that line between when work starts and when it ends, and making sure you're taking your breaks and that kind of thing, and just having the discipline, I suppose. And I suppose, as Lindsay was saying there, thankfully, we've got kind of some sort of an amber/green light now for the club and for the intercounty setup to come back. So, I suppose we've all been kind of probably trying to chip away ourselves, which is hard as well, just in the event that something was happening. So thankfully all the work we've done now, we should have a good enough base now when we get back. But I suppose it's been okay. I suppose we just have to get on with it, I suppose I work in business banking in AIB, and it's a very busy area anyway. And I suppose with COVID on top of that, we were dealing with a mix of various different things. But as I said, we've just kind of got onto it, and we've just adjusted. And that, I suppose, the biggest thing for me was I live up in Cork and Blackrock, and so I'm originally from Cahill, from Inch, down East Cork, and it's about maybe 50k away. So I actually haven't been home since the start of March.
Wow.
So hoping now by the end of this week now I'll be able to get down home. So I think that's been a big thing for a lot of people, as well as, and whilst, FaceTime and everything is great, and getting plenty of videos and pictures of my nieces and nephews at home, but it'd just be great to get home and see my parents and my sisters and my nieces and nephews, and my brother, obviously, who I haven't seen in a long time. So yeah, I suppose it's crazy to think, when you think about it, that we're in June now, but and how much time has passed. But look, thankfully we've come out the other end of it, and thankfully I haven't had anyone close to me affected by it. But yeah, it's definitely been life-changing. I think it'll change a lot of things for people, and how they approach things and how they manage themselves going forward. But definitely an eye-opener, but glad to see things reopening now again.
Yeah, those cuddles and hugs will be nice when we're all able to get them again, for sure, Annie. Particularly the family. The family element is huge throughout all of this. Lindsay, you've been playing a very vital role in your own line of work. I guess in a quieter Dublin airport at the moment, but I'm sure things are still very, very busy in their own way.
Yeah, I suppose our job is kind of unique in the sense that we've been kind of kept ticking over in work, where we specialise in aviation emergencies. So obviously there's a lot of cargo flights coming in with essential supplies, and even with repatriation flights, people trying to get home and stuff. So without the fire service there, those flights can't come in. So I suppose we are playing our own little role, but it's kind of good in our station. It's just kind of things as normal, we're just, if we get a call, we respond to as normal. Whereas over in the terminal, I suppose they definitely have felt the impact of it with the passenger flow. I think they've gone from maybe over 100,000 passengers a day to just over a few hundred now. So,
wow.
The aviation industry has been hit hard, and it probably will take a while for it to bounce back, obviously. But for us, we just kind of keep chipping away and doing what we can to kind of play our part, I suppose.
Lindsay, how did you get into that line of work in the first place, firefighting? It's and I've asked you, I've spoken to you before in previous interviews about it, but I don't think I ever asked you how it first came about for you.
Well, something I always wanted to do. I was kind of mad to get into the fire service there and being a paramedic when I was younger. But obviously when I was in college, we were kind of in the midst of a recession, so no emergency service were recruiting. But so in my own mind, I would have spoken to people in the emergency service, and they always would have said, look, you're best to get a bit of life experience behind you. So go to college, go traveling. So I kind of did that as best I could. Obviously went to college in DCU, and then I would have taken a year from Dublin to go in J1 to New York. And then I came back and I was working in Croke Park in the finance department there.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, and then just by luck then the airport were the first emergency service to start recruiting. So I said, sure, look, I'll throw my CV in and I'll apply and just see what happens. And I was like, it'd be a good experience if Dublin Fire Brigade recruits. I'll have gone through the process and what it involves. And I ended up getting the job in the Air Force and haven't looked back, really.
The rest is history, as they say. And speaking of history and moving on to football, So I was looking back through the records, and I have finals in 2009, 2014, 2015, 2016. Lindsey, you pointed out a quarter final in 2011 as well. There was a quarter final in 2013. So there was a fair rivalry between yourselves and Cork, Lindsey. From your point of view, not always the greatest of memories, but there were a couple of occasions where you had yourselves in really strong positions to beat that Cork team.
Yeah, I suppose that's the mad thing over the years. When you look back, there was never really much in it between us. I think a lot of our games came down to a point in it. And some games we had some very big leads, obviously with 2014 being like 10 points up, and then Cork being the team that they are. I think just their experience that they had and the belief that they have in themselves, they just always stood up to the mark. Their big players stood up, and they just always kind of came back strong at the end. And I think the one thing with Dublin and Cork battles over the years that we'll always remember, it's just they're always such entertaining games. So I think it was both teams just going at it. There was no kind of big strategies like everyone just getting back and blocking up the goal. It's just two teams going out attacking each other. And most of the games it was like score for score, like or in some cases we'd have a big lead and Cork would come back. But you know, I always loved the battles against Cork because you just knew they were just going to be like ones to remember.
Yeah, absolutely. And from my point of view, watching them was hugely entertaining. I have to say, I can only imagine what it was like to be stuck in the middle of them. Annie, is there one game from that series of games against Dublin that would stick out more than most for you?
Not really. Obviously, the 2014 one is probably one that's most talked about because I suppose the manner that we were down and came back, and I suppose, you know, whilst we had won a few All-Irelands before that, I think that was probably when it became real news that I suppose Cork were really a force in ladies football. And that now I know with the way social media and that has gone over the last few years, like, you know, the promotion of the game has just absolutely exploded, and it's fantastic to see, you know, that a lot of the girls that are playing nowadays are household names, and you know, even the attendance is going, I think they're around 20,000 maybe when I started playing in 2008 up to
56, yeah, over 56,000, yeah.
Like, it's just unbelievable. Like, so I suppose from coming back, I suppose the 2014 one, 2016 probably more so, because I suppose that was my last one, and obviously that picture we were talking about earlier on, Neil McAvoy and myself, you can see I was a bit emotional in it, and I don't know, did I kind of know that, you know, obviously I played a little bit the year after, but I don't know, did I kind of know that was, you know, could have been my last time there, you know. And I suppose as you get older and as you look back, and I know it's something that Amy used to say to us, you know, if you could bottle that first couple of minutes after you win, and you know, just that feeling is just absolutely just unbelievable. Like, and you know, even watching back the highlights of the 2014 game on the Sunday game there 2 weeks ago, you know, it's just got all those emotions again and those feelings, and you know, just such good memories. Like, you know, as I said, fortunately I've experienced running in Croke Park a lot more than, I don't think we lost the final when I was playing there in Croke Park, when I was part of the squad in Croke Park. So I suppose, look, that's a record in itself probably, but as I say, probably 2016, just because it was probably the last time I played there, and you know, 2014 then obviously for the reasons as you mentioned, for us coming back. And I suppose, you know, you pick different things from different games, but I suppose those are probably the two that stick out the most.
Lindsey, Annie speaks about those couple of minutes straight after the final whistle, and I think I remember running onto the pitch to try and get you over for a post-game interview because you were player of the match in the final last year, so apologies for that, to spoil that moment in some way. But all jokes aside, those moments right after full time, and you're in a circle and you're in a huddle and it's just sheer elation, it must be just absolutely incredible.
Yeah, like Annie says, it's like a drug. Like when you're winning games like that, and that feeling that you get, and I suppose that's the feeling you're kind of always chasing after when you have a taste of success. You just want more and more of it. And we've been very fortunate probably with Mick with the success that we've had. But I think what made those memories even more special for us was because of the defeats that we'd suffered previous to that. So I think that those kind of moments probably were that little bit sweeter for us, that we were just, because we knew what it was to be in that position, not winning. So to finally get over the line, you know, like I said, it was just sheer elation. And even in 2016, like I said, I remember Annie and Reid waiting at the end of the stand when we were walking through the tunnel and shaking all the players' hands, because I think they even knew, obviously there was a bit of controversy in that game as well, but I think they knew how we felt, and I think they obviously felt a bit gutted for us as well. Obviously they're delighted they've got over the line, but I think that's something that we definitely appreciate, that bit of sportsmanship, like just acknowledging like good game. And you know, it's definitely something that I remember anyway after that game. Just that I think was just is lovely.
Yeah, that's tremendous respect between the two counties, and that always shone through from watching those games down through the years, I have to say. As you say, Lindsey, never much between the teams, but what was common between the two teams was that absolute respect and admiration for each other. But once it got between the white lines, it often got hot and heavy, and you were both absolutely desperate to win. To then go on and finally get the Cork monkey off the back, Lindsey, I know that meant a lot to this current Dublin team, and particularly the players who would have experienced those previous defeats.
Yeah, and definitely, and I know even girls probably look back at 2010, and even when we played the 2017 against Mayo. But you know, we didn't beat Cork on the way, and like you can say that as well, but like you can only play what's in front of you, and you know, other teams would have beaten them to get there. So you know, for me, I was just delighted to finally get over the line. But yeah, like I said, when we got to our chance against them in 2018, and you know, like before those, we won the All Irelands, I was at a stage where my tally was lost 5 All Irelands, won. So you know, having that on your back, and a lot of them four of them would have been to Cork, and one to obviously Galway in 2004. So to kind of go into those games and to finally beat them in a championship game, having never done it before, so it was brilliant. And to get them, we beat them again then in the semi-final last year.
That's right.
So to finally just get to a position where we can face Cork in a championship and get over the line, you know, it's something that really meant a lot to us. Like,
Annie, just looking at the Cork setup at the moment, and there seems to be some exciting young players coming through, the likes of Saoirse Noonan and Cy Valeri, particularly up front, and obviously you would have played in attack, but also in midfield. Are you optimistic about what the future holds for Cork in the coming years?
Yeah, definitely. I suppose, you know, there's been probably a raft of underage titles, I suppose, won by a lot of the girls in that team now that are making or have made, I suppose, the jump and the transition into the senior setup. There's probably a nice mix of, I suppose, experience and youth, which you do need. I suppose, obviously, you know, probably spearheaded by the O'Sullivans, you know, like Ciara and her sister Roisin would have joined the panel in 2008 at the same time as me. So Ciara's there a long time now, and obviously Doireann is there a good few years as well. And I suppose even Mourne Abbey and the heights that they've hit with the club, you know, after themselves suffering a lot of heartbreak and that breakthrough, you know, I think you can see. I don't think there's much between any team, and I think that was the case in the league even this year. Before it kind of all stopped, and but I think the All Ireland is anyone's, to be honest. I think previously there might have been, you know, top few teams, then a gap and whatever, but I do think there's a lot more top teams there, and I think, you know, it's like with everything, you know, when you're trying to get on top, you'll do anything you can, like, to get up there, you know, and teams are looking at other teams, seeing how they can beat them. You know, you see a lot of things go in cycles as well with teams and the development of them, but I think if they can get the mix right between experience and youth, I think it's anybody's, to be honest. It'll be interesting to see now how it pans out. I know the structure of the championship had changed anyway for this year, so it'll be interesting to see. I don't know, will that still be the case? But if it was a straight knockout, you know, it'll be very interesting to see if Cork and Dublin met in earlier rounds or something like that, like, you know. But saying that, you know, you've Galway, you've Mayo, you've a lot of teams knocking on that door, like Donegal, you know, and they'll all think, a lot of teams will think they can win it. Obviously Dublin are there on top, they're there to be beaten now as well. Unfortunately, that's what comes with the champions tag, but I've no doubt that, you know, they'll take that in their stride as well. As you say, you know, they've gotten rid of a lot of baggage probably over the last few years, and, you know, they're now the top team and the team to beat. And if anyone wants to look at the roll of honour, they'd see that Dublin have won the last 3 years, and, you know, they're certainly still a force to be reckoned with. So I think there's probably 4 or 5 teams that are probably in the mix there, but it'll be interesting to see, I suppose, after the break, Obviously Dublin welcoming back Neil probably and Sinead back from Australia as well, you know, so Cork probably have a couple of other players to come in as well. So it'll just be interesting, but I do think scheduling for Cork would be very important because obviously there's a few players there that play outside of ladies football as well, but watch with interest anyway.
Yeah, it should be interesting. All right. There's an old saying about a quest for something, Annie, that it's a marathon, not a sprint. Right, but it just so happened that after you won a Munster club medal last year, the very next day you decided to go and run a marathon. Okay, you can take on that one from here. How on earth did you manage to do that?
Well, I suppose I have to blame my twin sister anyway, first and foremost, for it. So it was last year, and Elaine, my sister, had kind of got into running, and she was like, would you do a marathon? And it's something I've always had in my head. I did athletics when I was younger, and a marathon was always something that I kind of wanted to tick off the list. So I think it was probably the previous October, November, whenever the registration opened for the Dublin Marathon, and my sister texted me and she said, look, would you be interested? Sure, sign up anyway and see what happens. So I said, grand, sure, look, yeah, it was in winter. I think I had just come from the gym or something. I was like, do you know what, I won't have to start training for another while, whatever. I was going to play away club football and whatever, so I was kind of like, the grand. So then that was fine, signed up for it. Then she got on to me and said, will we do the half in Cork? Will we go training, whatever? Oh, grand, yeah, sure, we'll sign up. You know, I suppose these are things that I probably wasn't able to do when I was playing with Cork. So I was like, right, yeah, okay, let's do this. So, and turned out anyway, Elaine had done a good few more runs, whatever, and she decided she was going to do the full in Cork. So I said, look, I'll sign up for the half. I'm going to still do the half. So I went and I did the half anyway. I think my longest run before that was probably 10 miles. But it was fine. I kind of know Cork well enough and whatever. So that was grand. That was fine anyway, and things started kind of kicking off with football with the club. We had regraded to intermediate this year from senior, and we kind of had a round robin, we had games and whatever, and that was fine anyway. But in our semi-final against Glenmire, actually, who Georgina Flynn was coaching, I actually had a tear in my hamstring, I think 10 minutes into the game. But I was like, no, back it up. We're going to keep going here now. Sorry, it was the replay. It was a replay. The first day we had went to extra time and everything. We couldn't be separated. So it was in the replay anyway. I'd hurt my hamstring. This was probably, I don't know, was it late August, early September. So that was fine anyway. And in the replay, as I said, kind of 10 minutes in, I was like, strap it up. I said, I'm playing away to the season, whatever. So we ended up winning anyway and going to the county final. So I was kind of minding myself. So obviously the focus was on the football, and like the marathon was kind of in the back of my head. And I was like, look, we'll see how it goes, whatever. And then we ended up winning the county, and we went into Munster, and I think we had a quarter final and a semi-final. And I was kind of looking at the fixtures. I was like, oh, gosh, I said, the final could be on the day before the marathon. I said, see what happens, you know. And I think we kind of played 3 consecutive weeks, and that was grand, you know, and I knew it was kind of coming up then. And my sister was like, what are you going to do? You can't do both. And I was like, look, I think I can. My hamstring had healed up now at this stage. Our physio, Steve Gilman, who's married to Ciara Walsh, he did a good job now, to be fair. So he kind of got me right for it. But I told no one on football that I was doing this, because I said, number one, they think I'm mad. And number two, I didn't want the focus to come away from the game. So we played on Saturday in Mallow, and that was fine. We won, which was great, and then we were kind of got the cup, and we were going in, and everyone was talking about they're all going back to Killa, and I was like, right, okay, I'll keep quiet here, and everyone was in the car to go, and my sister had gone up earlier that day to pick up our numbers and all of that, and so that was fine. I just went in, I said to the physio, look, would you mind giving my legs a rub out there? And he was like, grand. I didn't tell him why either, because obviously I was like, they'll think I'm mad. And went off the road anyway. I had all my food and whatever in the car that I needed, and drove away up and got up. I think I got up around maybe 9 o'clock, 9:30 to the hotel. And my sister was there already, as I said, she was after checking in and getting her race packs. And yeah, just kind of chilled out, went to bed, up the next morning at 7, I think, to get ready. And yeah, just said, I'm just going to do this. I'm just going to keep going. I'm not going to stop. Try to kind of take it every mile by mile. And I did it, yeah. And I think it was around 4:40, which I think is a good time for a first
Decent,
marathon.
yeah, absolutely.
As I was saying, Phoenix Park nearly broke my heart. I didn't realise it was actually as big as it was. But like, obviously I was exhausted at the end. No, I think my last K was probably very quick because I knew the finish line was coming, and I think I turned the corner there by the RDS, and I knew where I was then for certain. And I was like, okay, I know where this is, and I just went. But yeah, I just kept going. It was definitely, obviously, I didn't have the miles done for it, definitely not. As I said, my longest run was probably the half I did in June previous to that, but I would have done athletics for years previously. But I suppose it was very much a mental thing, I think, and I suppose I'm the type of person, when I put on something, that's it, I'm going to do it. But yeah, so hard to walk for the next week or so, but was just delighted that I was able to do it, because there was no way I was going back to Cork telling people I tried to do the marathon and I wasn't able to do it. So yeah, I think it was just pure grit and determination now and stubbornness that got me over the line on it. So yeah.
Incredible stuff, incredible. Lindsey, is that on your bucket list at all, a marathon?
Oh, not at all. Even this lockdown with the amount of running that's happening, but we did a marathon in the month of May for a girl on our team that passed away a few years ago. So the whole team ran a marathon across the month. So I don't know how you'd run a marathon the day after playing a final, like, fair play. But yeah, like it is one thing, the lockdown. It's great seeing so many people kind of getting out there and doing different types of exercises as well, though. Like, you know, I've never seen so many people out running and cycling, and I suppose that's something people value in all this finishes as well, and people go back to, I suppose, whatever the new normality is, but just the amount of time getting to spend with your family, and it's been, yeah, it's all been a bit mad.
Yeah, it's been a strange time, all right, Lindsey, to be fair. Lindsey, it would be remiss of me to have you on and not ask you the question about, will we see you later on in the year, all going to plan in that sky blue jersey for another crack at it?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like, if we get some sort of season back this year, then look, we'll all be raring to go. Like, just, you couldn't leave it on that note. And I suppose even with like Annie was saying, with the league this year, it's going to be such an exciting finish because there's so many teams pushing for top spots. I know definitely Galway will feel gutted now, because I think they definitely would have been up there with a great opportunity of winning the league this year. But obviously that wouldn't have come easy, because there would have been plenty of other teams chasing their tails. And I suppose with us, it was probably disappointing in our aspect as well, because after the Woodford game, we had, I think that was Sinead Ahern and Noelle Healy's first game back. And then we had other girls come back from injury. So we had Siobhan McGrath, Siobhan Clean, Nicole Owens. So there's some very kind of key players for us getting over some big injuries. But look, this could be a great break for them now as well. Just giving them more time to rehab and recover. But I think it all just depends on the format of how the championship will be structured, all going well. And that's provided we get to that stage down the line, and you know that things are still safe to play, because obviously we're kind of going on a week by week basis at the moment and just seeing the impact of how lifting the restriction is working. And I suppose if we do get a surge in cases, and unfortunately might have to take a step backwards, now the season mightn't happen at all. So like, again, it's just probably a waiting game. But look, it's probably up to managers now to get their players back in the best shape that they can. Obviously, we're not going to be led on the pitch, I think, till mid-September for county. So I assume a lot of teams will have their own kind of individual plans to keep them taking over until then. And obviously they'll be back at club, which will be great as well, just to kind of get back on the pitch with your friends again. So
Absolutely.
I think we're all kind of looking forward to it. But so it's an interesting thing for Dublin as well. Like, we were probably going into a championship having no provincial. So we were probably going to be a bit worried about how that would have impacted us, because a lot of other county teams would have had a lot more games coming up to the All-Ireland phase of it. I suppose everyone's going to be in the same boat now. So I think that if all going well and we do get some sort of championship going, I think it's going to be, no doubt, extremely competitive and very exciting, hopefully.
Yeah, looking forward to it very much so. Lindsey, can I ask you where you keep where that hunger keeps coming from? Because you mentioned defeats and how they would have fueled you to come back and try and get your hands on that trophy, and you've done it multiple times now. thankfully. But when you are the hunted compared to the hunters, what is the difference in mentality, and how do you find that motivation to keep going again, even though you've banked 3 successive All-Ireland medals now?
Yeah, well, I suppose for me coming back this year, a lot of it would have been just, I think I'm just really enjoying playing. And I suppose when you're playing well and you feel like you're contributing something to the team, you want to stay playing at the top for as long as you can. And if I still think I'm able to give something to Dublin, then I felt like I said, sure, I'll give it another go and see. But it's, to be honest, a lot of it is just the memories that we're making with the team, and just you're going training, or if you're going on team camps or team holidays away, just such a laugh with the girls, and there's such a great bond there. Like it is like a big family, and it is very hard to walk away from that. And I'm sure Annie will be able to tell you, like sometimes maybe when you're winning and you're at the top, it's nearly harder to walk away because it's just probably just more enjoyable as well, because obviously at the end of the year, and like you said, when you're getting that, when you're walking off the pitch in All-Ireland final day, and what was it like? It was 56,000 last year, over 50,000 the year before. Like when you're just getting such great support behind you, and when that final whistle goes and you're on top, like it's just like Annie said, it's just no better feeling. And it's very hard to walk away from that, but it's very hard to just walk away from the friendships as well.
Yeah, I'm sure. Annie, I'm going to finish up with your good self. Yeah, you didn't really make any big announcements that you were moving away from intercounty football. You just seemed to slip quietly into the background, which that would be your nature, and in terms of your humility, and you were never one for the limelight per se. But do you miss the intercounty scene, or are you happy enough now that you're still able to contribute back to the club where it all started for you?
I suppose, look, just delighted to, be back to the club. As I said, when you look back, you kind of go, wow, God, I was part of something just so amazing. And, going to training in 2008, whenever it was, my first session, like who knew that it was going to turn into what it did, but unfortunately all good things must come to an end. I suppose, a lot of the group has changed now, as I said, younger players have made a transition in, and that there's been a lot of changes to the team, even I suppose from 2014, 15, 16, 17, and it's with a lot of teams, and sometimes it can just be whatever part of the cycle teams are at. But no, just delighted to still be able to play club, and was really delighted. I suppose, as I said, we would have enjoyed a very good spell with the club back in 2007, 8, and we actually won the Senior All-Ireland in 2010.
That's right.
So, I suppose the last time we won a county was 2012, and we again, going through a cycle, we lost an awful lot of players in that, and we were just trying to build again. So it was just great last year. There was a great buzz around the club. I suppose it was a big decision for us that we would drop down from senior to intermediate, given we had fought so hard to get up there, and but we felt it was the right thing given all the younger players we have now. We're gone straight back up again, so I don't know, is that a good thing or a bad thing? But, it was just great to win with the club again. As I said, I'd experienced that in 2006, 7, 8, and 10, and it was just absolutely fantastic to be able to go back to your home club. Kind of reminded you of, homecomings with Cork as well, because obviously we were fortunate enough to have captains from my own club as well. So, I'm just enjoying it and doing new things like running a marathon and a half, and a few other things that I'd like to do as well at some stage. So look, we'll see how it goes. But yeah, definitely still very happy and fortunate that I can still play. If I can just keep the injuries at bay now, we'll be doing well. So.
Great stuff. Annie and Lyndsey Davey, Annie Walsh from Cork, Lyndsey Davey from Dublin, I really appreciate your time today. Thanks for coming on and for sharing those memories. Stay safe and stay well, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Lindsay. Thanks, Jackie.